duality training, if I had to simplify that into just a couple things, I would say duality training is about energy awareness and about self-healing. So that first one, energy awareness, what is energy about? So when I say energy, I'm talking about the motivating force that drives everything. So this is really behind everything that's physical, everything that's non-physical. And we experience this energy in really two distinct parts. So we see that physical world that we can see and touch and taste and feel, and we know how to change it really. It's obvious how to do that. And the second part is this energy world, which is not so obvious to sense, but with a little practice, you can definitely see things clairvoyantly and hear things and even feel things in your body. And you'll learn that changing energy is actually much easier than it is to change things in the physical world. Okay, so consciousness is energy too. So this is a really interesting point because a lot of times we're not sure what we are as far as, our self or our sense of identity and our consciousness, and it's actually just energy. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. How does that make sense that consciousness is energy? Because when you learn to directly interact with your consciousness, you'll find that you can make an enormous impact. So consciousness is energy too, and really your job as a conscious being is to transfer this non-physical energy, so kind of your thoughts and emotions and feelings and intentions, and transfer that into the physical world. Because we sit right on that cusp of both. We have our conscious awareness, where we can dip into this energy world and sense it and change it, and we have a strong physical presence in our body. So that's really what we're doing is transferring that energy, non-physical energy, into the physical world. So let's take a look at healing. So why is healing important? Some people think, yeah, I need a little healing, but it's not so bad. I'm in a little bit of pain, but it's not a big deal. And so, why is healing so important? And really the deal here is that we're all holding some pain from previous experiences. And we store this in our energy body. When I look at it, it looks like kind of little dark places in the energy. Sometimes it'll be kind of spiky. Depending what kind of pain it is, it looks very different. And we also all have some confusion about how the world works. So, your mental model of what's happening in the world and what works, some of it is right and some of it's not right. I hate to break it to you, but it's just true. And that confusion tends to cause friction and difficulty. And so when we can do some healing and clear that up, life goes much easier. And the big point here is that in addition to just having our own pain and confusion, is that it tends to spread out into the world. So if you watch energetically, it actually radiates out from each of us, however we're feeling. We're going to express ourselves in the world all the time. So if we have pain and confusion inside, we're expressing that pain and confusion on the outside too. So it's spreading out around us, even if we don't want it to. And so this creates this kind of negative feedback loop where, say I'm kind of grumpy, something difficult happened to me, that consciously sometimes moves to other people. I might kind of snap at them or get angry, with my spouse or something. But even unconsciously, that vibration moves out to them. And so then that person's going to pick that up, and then eventually that'll resonate out into the world as well, and then come back to you. And so this is, it's a bigger problem than you think. In fact, I believe that this negative energy loop, negative feedback loop, is why we see all the difficulty in the world that we see. So from war and pain and hunger and scarcity and all these things really come from this negative feedback loop and can be corrected. All right, so what's the solution to this negative feedback loop I was talking about? The first thing is that you want to just get your awareness up. So when you can see your own pain and confusion, that's the first step to healing it, obviously. And as you get more aware, you'll notice that there's a lot more happening inside you than you were even aware of. And because most of our pain is invisible, we've kind of hidden it or suppressed it or put it behind some emotional blocks because, of course, we don't want to feel it. So you'll notice when you first start healing that sometimes things will get a little worse before they get better, in the sense that you'll start noticing, oh, there's some pain there that I wasn't aware of before. But it's actually good news because it just means, you're on your way to moving it and healing it and changing that in your life. So the second step, of course, is that healing. And when you heal your pain and correct that confusion, everything changes for you. And if you look at the energy, it's actually really interesting. So what happens is when people have a lot of pain and confusion, the energy looks like a bunch of little arrows kind of pointing different directions, okay? So and this is called a non-coherent state, when there's energy pointing many different ways. Now, as you heal, what happens is those start to line up and you get more coherence. So ideally, if you've done a lot of work, you'll notice all those vectors, all those energies are moving in the same direction for you. And so you've got a lot of coherency in your space. And this is really cool because when you have coherency, this is when you start getting those synchronicities happening. This is when things are really easy, or we say you're in the flow. It's really just because your energy has become coherent. And the way to do that, again, is just start clearing this pain, start clearing this confusion, because when that's stripped away, what's left, your natural state, is actually a state of coherency. So you just got to get rid of all the stuff that's not natural, and you'll come back into that really powerful, lined up, coherent state. And you'll see this in people. If you see somebody who's very lucky, everything just goes their way, or people who have a lot of abundance and it flows very easily. So these are people that have that coherency, at least in that specific area of their life. So that's what we're working on here. And of course, personal benefit, you're going to be more happy and confident and compassionate when you're coherent. And your awareness and sensitivity goes way up too, because when you're coherent, you can sense the energy more easily. It's not as confusing and difficult as it is when you're non-coherent. Again, that's when the synchronicities line up, which is really fantastic. It's almost magical at times. Once you get your energy clean, you'll notice that things are super, super organized behind the scenes. It's only our own mind and our own kind of confusion and pain that makes it seem like there's a struggle or difficulty or we have to work hard. The truth is, if you take all that pain and confusion away, things are super organized and very easy and synchronous in our lives. And, so also we feel really confident and empowered when everything's in sync, because we know what to do. We've got a little experience with when we find that non-coherent energy, we know what do we do to heal it and make it coherent again. And after you go through that process a few times, you don't really worry about problems so much anymore, because when they arise, you know what to do and how to take care of them. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So right now, I want you to share one more thing with me. Just as I'm talking here, and we're talking about this negative feedback loop, what's one thing that you would want to heal for yourself? So it's similar to that intention there, and I'm going to scroll down and look at some of the responses here. So what do you want to heal in this? What is something in your negative feedback loop that you want to change? Okay, so Benjamin just says fear. Yeah, so that's a big one. We're actually going to talk about that today. Jean says my love life. Yeah, that's a big one too. So we're going to get into that in a little more detail. I think it's in week 6 and week 4. We're going to talk more about relationships, and so you'll get some really good tools for your love life. Okay, Kevin says diabetes. Okay, so a lot of us are having physical things we want to heal, and we're going to talk about that actually in week 3, give you the tools for moving that out. In general, if you can get more coherent in your body will start healing itself. So that's kind of the secret there. And I see some more of those. I see leaky gut, anxiety, cancer, so a lot of people with some physical things. Also anger. Yeah, Robert says I want to heal anger. So that's a really important one. I went through this myself. I didn't know I had anger until I got some of that unconscious energy out. And suddenly it was like, wow, there's all this anger I didn't even know about. And it healed. That's the good news. So I see some more fear, anger, relationships with money. These are all really good intentions. Prosperity consciousness. Really good. Jennifer says energy boundary. Okay, so that's a really good one. We're going to hit that in the 4th lesson. And this is really important. If you're sensitive to energy, which many of you are, you'll notice that your boundaries sometimes are pretty lousy. And I can say this because I have the same problem, right? I'm very sensitive, and so I need to be conscious of my boundary. Otherwise, it's very easy for that to get kind of sloppy and pick up stuff from other people. But I'll give you some tools for that in week 4 that are really, really powerful. Okay, so let's move on here. So group benefit, we're talking about coherency as it spreads. The group benefit is that people around you will start to change. And I see this over and over with clients, and it's so powerful. Somebody will say, I started to do this healing work and really heal myself, and my husband changed. his attitude is better, his work got better. Or one woman told me, my dad opened up to new information and he's been so stuck for his entire life, so rigid. And all of a sudden he's really into all these new information and new things. And so you'll see this around you, that the people around you start living happier, healthier lives just because you're changing yourself. So this is really powerful. And the other cool thing is that as you become more coherent, the people around you become coherent, you'll notice your situations become more coherent too. So, for example, if you're at work, you might feel like, I don't like it here, it doesn't feel good, I want to change. Like I went through that, right? I switched from an engineer to a healer. So a lot of people come to me with this desire, and if you get yourself coherent and stay in the same job, what you'll notice is a lot of times that difficult feeling you had in the job will actually start to clear up. Maybe you're in exactly the right place, and you are there to help heal that situation for that company, that industry, that group of people. And so sometimes when you get clear inside, you'll notice, oh, actually, I don't need to change professions. I just needed to be a better human and a better energy worker in the situation I'm already in. So that's kind of cool. And of course, as this spreads out into the world, the awareness and coherency, really big things start to happen. The number one thing is people just make better choices. So when we're coherent, it doesn't make sense to hurt people. It doesn't make sense to hurt the environment. These things just don't make sense when we're in a coherent state. And so the planet starts to change. You can make these impacts just by changing it in you. And the world in general starts to become this kind of more kind place to live, where people are more peaceful and there's more synchronicity in the world. And this is actually happening on a big scale already. You might not notice, it looks like some things are kind of crumbling right now. But in the big picture, there's other industries and things that are coherent that are actually building really quickly right now and getting better and better. So we're seeing this effect already in the world. And this, I believe, ultimately is going to lead to a radical shift in the world that we're going through right now. And you can be part of this by simply healing your energy and changing yourself and moving into this positive feedback loop. And in this positive feedback loop, your energy is getting more coherent and lined up, you're getting more happy, and other people around you are lining up and getting more happy, the world is lining up and getting more happy, and eventually that's, of course, feeding back to you. And this is really fun because one thing I love about this positive feedback loop is that it doesn't matter which one of those motivations you have. So if you're just right now focused on really helping yourself, like you want to get some more abundance or you want to heal your body, that's okay. Work on yourself and focus on you, and the world and others will get the benefit too. If you're somebody who's really focused on helping others, like you're a healer and you just want to help other people, if you focus on that where your passion is, you'll notice that not only will those people get helped, but the world will get better and you'll actually heal yourself too. So it doesn't matter where you focus. Or if you're a big dreamer like me, like you want to change the world and save everybody and make it all a better place, then focusing on that will in turn bring that energy to you and to the people you love. So it doesn't matter which one you're focused on. And I'll give you a little example of one place where I did this change or helped somebody, where I was at the grocery store and I went through the line, and the woman in the line was looked kind of down, and I just said hello and asked her how she was. And as she's checking my groceries, she said this big story about her boyfriend broke up and she was sick and a lot of heavy pain in her life. And she noticed after a few minutes of talking, she kind of looked up and saw me and noticed she was talking to a complete stranger sharing all this pain, and she was a little bit embarrassed. And when I checked out, I was walking out the door and I saw, there were these big sunflowers on sale for like $2. So what I did is I picked one up, I went back through the line, and I handed it to her. She rang it up, and as I was leaving and she's handing it to me, I said, oh no, that's for you. You need something to improve your day. And I just want to help. And, she burst out into tears, rolling down her cheeks. She was crying. And I never saw her again, so I don't know what happened. But I can imagine that she had a new story to tell. So when people asked how she was doing, instead of just sharing that pain, she had that big bright yellow flower next to her, and she could share a positive story about a stranger that helped her out and did something kind. So just little simple things like this seem so small, but they make a big difference because of this positive feedback loop. They just really roll out into the world. Okay, so let's take a look at, actually, I want to hear from you too about how do you want to change the world? So if you're somebody that's motivated to change the world, then type that in and we'll take a look at some of those. It's just kind of fun to see. And this positive feedback loop is really what I believe Gandhi was talking about when he said, you must be the change you wish to see in the world. And so it's a really powerful statement that we've all heard, and it's really about this energy feedback that helps. Okay, so I'm just reading some. So let's see. Serge says, help all beings follow their true path. So that one's really nice. Guni, sorry, I'm trashing your names there. Says, be one with unconditional love. Yeah, really nice. And you're actually getting at kind of the core of some of this teaching too, which is that we're all connected. Even though we have separate physical bodies, energetically we're very deeply connected. Okay, so let's see, Maria, sharing my light. Perry, look after the world. That one's really nice. So I'm seeing people that are motivated for helping the world. And then, okay, Raquel, teaching kids, really good. Angela, change how I see the world. Oh, interesting. So this is a nice intention, because if you change how you see the world, you'll notice that it's very different than what maybe you were saying before. And we'll get into that in a lot of detail. And let's see, I think it's week 6. We'll be looking at your filters that you see the world through. When we look at this healing, how do we create it? Or more specifically, how do you create it, right? So you're the one that's doing the healing for you. And I break this into 5 different things. The first thing is that first you have to heal your pain. So you want to get through that current layer of pain so that you know experientially you can do it. Because again, even if you have pain coming up, which is pretty normal, if you've healed it once, healed yourself of something, whether it's physical or emotional, you feel confident you can do it again. Now, if you don't do this, if you don't heal this pain, what you'll notice is that you're going to kind of stay stuck in those same patterns. So the same things will come up over and over. And you'll also notice that you'll be searching for your answers, searching for your path or your healing, but not really finding the permanent solution. So this is a clue to you. If you notice you're in that situation, you need to go and heal that pain that's up right now, kind of get that first layer. Okay, so number 2 is you have to clear your confusion. And this is kind of funny because, we all believe that our beliefs are true, but they're just not. So you got to get through that and start finding, like, what are your biggest areas of confusion so you can find your own answers and get in there. And we're going to go into this really deeply in this training because I've trained many people. I've been teaching for over 10 years, and many people on how to tune into their intuition. So I've been watching, in particular, what are the things that get in the way. And so every week I'll bring one of those up, like, here's a big confusion that gets in the way, and we'll clear that for you. Okay, now if you don't change this, if you don't clear your confusion, what's going to happen is you're going to just have that same thinking that you had before, get the same decisions and same results, and you'll keep using kind of half of your awareness, just this physical half, instead of all of it. So a little bit of danger there, but we'll definitely get through that confusion in this one. In number 3 is increasing your intuition. Now this is really fun because, again, I said you got to feel your pain, you got to heal your confusion. So the way to do that is to tune into your intuition so you can steer really clearly and stay on that coherent path that leads you into synchronicity. And the exercises we're going to be using are well tested. These are out of Berkeley Psychic Institute, and they've trained some 300,000 people on using these tools in the last 40 years. So really effective tools and lots and lots of practice and ingenuity behind them. Okay, so if you don't get your intuition turned on, what's going to happen is you're going to just keep guessing instead of knowing where to go. And I'm laughing because I've done this a lot. There's a big important thing coming up and I just kind of guess because I'm not sure. Now that my intuition is turned on, it's much, much easier because I can just see which is the real way to go. And actually we played with that a little bit in the free seminar, so you've got a little taste of that already. And if your intuition's turned off, you'll also notice that you're a little bit reactionary. So things are happening in your life, and then you're kind of reacting or responding. when your intuition's turned on, it feels different. It feels like you're more in control, that you're just sort of sensing what's happening around you, and then you're making conscious choices in which direction to go. And so for me, this feels much better, and I think you'll agree that that's the way you want to go too. Okay, so number 4 is we want to create healthy habits. And this is just about practice, right? So the more you practice something, the better you get at it. And I'm going to give you some meditations and some daily exercises you can practice by yourself, and some things you can practice with other people. And I'm encouraging you to just practice, 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 and get it in your mind, get it in your energy, get it in your actions, and create these healthy habits, because that's what's going to make a huge impact in your life after the training. Because sometimes we go to a training, get a lot of good information, enjoy the energy while we're there, and then when it finishes, we just kind of settle back into our groove that we were in before. Or maybe we take a step up in a few areas, but then we kind of, just leave a lot of the training behind. I don't want you to do that. I want you to really focus on the practice in this one. On this number 4, if you don't create the healthy habits, what's going to happen, like I said, is you're going to get good initial results, and then you're going to kind of stop growing after the program, or grow less after. So you'll feel really strong in the group, but then a little bit weak afterwards, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, so the 5th step, this is all about how to heal yourself and get from that negative feedback loop into the positive feedback loop. And I was saying there's 5 different steps. So the 5th step is to get activated. And this is what we did when we created this bubble and we said hello to everybody. And as I'm doing energy work for you throughout the training, is even if you don't do anything, if you just show up and listen and don't do anything consciously, you'll start aligning to that coherent field, because coherency is very strong, and we've got enough people on here that we're creating a bigger and bigger coherent field. And so every time one person makes a breakthrough, the field gets a little bit more lined up. And each week we'll tune into the field again and help you kind of get that boost from everybody else. So this is what I call activation. And when this is happening, you really want to trust that I'm taking you on a journey that makes sense, that if you just show up and go through the program, that it'll easily take you into this activation place. And there'll be a few times, I know, where you're going to resist, right? There's going to be some pain inside you that is difficult or that you don't want to see. And when that big stuff comes up, and we're going to talk about it in the class, you'll notice that's the class that you don't want to go to. So that's the time when you'll be like, I don't want to go to this one, or this is terrible, or I'm finished. When that happens, just remember, something big is coming. This is the one I really need to get to. And just trust it. Show up and go to that. Because if you don't get activated, again, what you'll notice is it's kind of slow progress. In a group, we can move really fast because you're getting that benefit from everybody. But by yourself, it's kind of step by step. You can still get there. It's just a little bit slower. And if you're not activated, you'll notice you also go on lots of these kind of, I like to call them learning adventures, where you go off some path for a while, you're sure it's the right thing, and then you kind of get to a dead end and you come back, and the best you can say is, well, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about something. But probably what you learned is, don't do that again. So when you're activated and aligned, you can go more directly toward things, less of those learning adventures. Okay, so this is the big goal, is we're going to try to get you from where you're at now to systematically and reliably get from your pain and confusion, whatever it looks like. It might be some lack or frustration or stuck energy or pain or even disease. So we're going to get you systematically and reliably from that pain and confusion into awareness and coherency. Okay, so this is flow, abundance, happiness, joy, love, health, all those good things. And the reason why we're doing this is we want you to be the best you and live the best life. So again, if you're up for that, give me the thumbs up, say you're in. And yeah, Goonie says, amen. Yeah. Aaron, bring it on. Jamie, again, I'm in. Okay, yeah, lots of yays, I'm ready. Thumbs up, I believe. Okay, good, we're all on the same page.